You know that feeling, right? Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Well, we've all been there, but some choices, they're on a whole other level. I'm talking about impossible decisions, the kind that define who we are and can even shape history itself. In this explainer, we're going to dissect what makes a choice truly, truly hard.
And this right here is the key. This is the whole idea. See, the most agonizing decisions we face aren't about choosing good over evil. That's usually pretty straightforward. No, the real gut-wrenchers are a conflict between two different rights, forcing you to sacrifice something you deeply believe in, no matter which way you go. This is what we call a true dilemma. And it's so much more than just a tough problem. It's a crucible of choice. Think about that word, crucible. It's a vessel that uses intense, overwhelming heat to test and purify metal. Well, a true dilemma does the exact same thing to our character. It puts our values under immense pressure, and there is just no easy way out.
So to really get a handle on these choices, we first need to break them down. We need to look at what they're actually made of. What are the ingredients that turn a simple tough call into an impossible one?
And really, it all boils down to this question. This is the absolute heart of a true dilemma. It's that sinking feeling you get when you realize that every single option, every path forward leads to some kind of loss. There is no perfect answer, just the heavy, heavy burden of the choice itself.
So let's break down those ingredients. First off, the stakes have to be incredibly high. We're talking about lives, core principles, or the future being on the line. Second, the choice has to be irreversible. Once you make the call, that's it. There are no do-overs. Third, you've got a direct value conflict, something like loyalty versus honesty. And finally, the real kicker. There is no clean win. Every option carries a huge moral or practical cost that's going to leave a scar.
Okay, so let's move from the theory to the real world. To truly grasp the weight of these dilemmas, we're going to walk through a classic, absolutely gut-wrenching historical example that has every single one of those ingredients we just talked about.
All right, I want you to imagine you're a military commander during a major war. Your intelligence team has just pulled off the impossible. They've broken the enemy's most secret communication code. This is it. This is the key that could win the entire war. But then, you get your very first piece of intel.
And the news is just horrific. There's a convoy with 1,000 civilians on board, and it's heading directly into a trap. You can save them. But if you do, the enemy will know instantly that their code is compromised. They'll change it, and your single greatest advantage in the war is just gone. The war will then drag on, costing tens of thousands more lives.
So there it is. The choice laid bare. Do you sacrifice 1,000 known lives tonight to protect your secret and save 50,000 lives down the road? Or do you save those 1,000 people right now, knowing it's going to prolong the war and ultimately costs tens of thousands more? It's just a brutal conflict between immediate, tangible lives and future statistical ones.
Just pause for a second and really think about it. There is no right answer here that feels good. What call do you make? You know, this quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald just perfectly captures the mental agony of it all. You have to hold both of these terrible outcomes in your mind at once, the immediate horror and the long-term catastrophe, and somehow you still have to function. You still have to make a choice.
So how could anyone possibly make a choice like that? I mean, it feels overwhelmingly emotional, doesn't it? But while that's true, philosophers have actually developed logical frameworks to help analyze these situations. Now, they don't make the decision any easier, but they can make our reasoning a lot clearer.
Generally speaking, when you're looking at an ethical dilemma, there are two main lenses you can use. One focuses on the rules and your duties, and the other focuses on the consequences, the outcomes of your actions. So let's look at how these apply here. With a rules-based approach, you're focused on your duties. A commander might say, "My ultimate duty is to win the war and save the most lives overall." By that logic, they have to sacrifice the convoy. Then you have the outcomes-based approach, which is all about the numbers. It asks which action leads to the greatest good for the greatest number. And in this case, sacrificing 1,000 to save 50,000 is the logical, though completely horrifying answer. And here is the truly wild part. In this specific scenario, both of these frameworks, they can be argued to point to the exact same awful conclusion, letting the convoy sink. The logic feels inescapable, almost like a trap, but that does absolutely nothing to lessen the immense moral weight of the decision. So, why does wrestling with these huge historical dilemmas even matter for us? Well,
because the very same principles apply to the crucibles that we all face in our own lives.
Your dilemma probably isn't going to involve saving thousands of lives. It might be a choice between being loyal to a friend who made a mistake and being honest with your company. Or maybe it's a choice between a secure career you hate and a passion project that could completely fail. The structure is exactly the same, a conflict of values with no clean win.
So what can we actually learn from all this? First, that the easy, clear-cut, right answer, it pretty much never exists. And in those moments, your only true compass is a deep understanding of your own core values. Second, it teaches us empathy. It's so easy to judge someone's hard choice from the outside, but it is a whole lot harder once you're the one inside that crucible. And finally, remember this. Who you become is shaped less by what you choose and more by the integrity and thought you bring to the process of choosing itself.
Because sooner or later, your own crucible is going to arrive. And when it does, the work you've done to understand what you truly stand for will be the only thing that guides you through the fire. So the final question really is for you. When your moment comes, what will your compass be?